Hello and welcome to Peak City Gym, the premier fitness over 40 facility here in Apex, North Carolina. We've been located here for over 5 years, helping those in the fitness over 40 community live a healthier, more independent life. I'm Keegan and I'm gonna be your host. Today we're diving into one of the most important movement patterns that you can perfect if you're over 40, the hip hinge. If you've ever felt this twinge in your lower back or the inability to pick something up, this video is for you. We'll teach you everything you need to know about the hip hinge so that you can maintain your independence and your strength as you age. The hip hinge is a fundamental movement that many people have lost touch with, but it's critical for doing anything from picking up groceries to maintaining an active lifestyle. Today, I'll show you why mastering this movement pattern is so critical after 40 and provide you all of the modifications that you may need so that you feel confident to accomplish these in the gym. This is our third video of our May strength series. So if you haven't seen any of the other videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay up to date in all of our future posts. So whether you're starting your fitness journey or looking to optimize your routine, let's explore how the hip hinge can transform your strength, mobility, and daily function. As we age, we see a large change in our bodies. We change how we move, we see a reduction in our hormones, the way we eat, the activity levels. These are all changes that are going to play a role in our overall health and well-being. This makes emphasizing the hip hinge in the gym even more important. First, we're going to understand what a hip hinge actually is. It's bending from your hips while maintaining a neutral spine instead of rounding through your lower back. Here's how mastering this as we age is so crucial. It's ultimately protecting your back and protecting you from getting injured. That's really important because as we age, staying healthy, it becomes even more critical to maintaining an active lifestyle. When performing an improper hip hinge movement, we see a lot more force going through our lower back, potentially leading to that higher risk of injury. Perfecting the hip hinge means there's less stress on our lower back while lifting, bending, or performing other daily activities. We've harped on this quite a bit, and it's going to be in every video going forward. There is a significant reduction in muscle mass as we age. After about the age of 30, we see a 3 to 5% reduction in muscle mass each and every decade. This accelerates even more after the age of 70. Hip hinge exercises specifically target some of the largest muscles in our body, which helps us maintain this precious muscle. By strengthening these muscles, the glutes and hamstrings, we're directly fighting against this natural loss of muscle. Number 3, functional independence. As we age, we may get less and less support from those around us. So we need to maintain a level of functional independence so that we can sustain the lifestyle that we desire. Think about everyday moments, picking up grandchildren, gardening, cleaning up the house. The hip hinge directly correlates with all of these activities, keeping your independence for as long as you can. Well, hip hinge movements aren't specifically training the flexibility of our hamstrings and our glutes. Exercising those muscles has been shown to improve the range of motion and maintain any mobility that you already have. Maintaining flexibility and mobility in our hamstrings and glutes is essential to overall movement quality. Hip hinge training doesn't just engage our glutes and our hamstrings. It's also essential for our core stabilizers, which are necessary for posture and balance. Many adults avoid picking things up from the ground for fear of hurting their back or losing their balance and falling. But with proper hip hinge training, you're going to maintain your confidence and independence picking things up from the ground. With all of these benefits laid out, let's take a look at our 5 favorite exercises for improving hip hinge strength. Trap bar deadlift. To set up for the trap bar, we're going to step inside our trap bar with feet about hip width apart, hinging at your hips, pushing them backwards. Grab the handles with a neutral grip, making sure you're in the middle. Keep your chest up and spine neutral. As you see Shane doing, his back is flat as a board. Take a deep breath, brace your core, pushing your heels down through the ground. You're going to drive your hips forward. Return to the starting position by pushing your hips back. A couple form cues we want to keep in mind. We're pushing the floor away rather than pulling the weight up. Maintain a neutral neck position. Dumbbell RDL. Setting up for our dumbbell RDL, we're going to stand again with our feet about hip width apart. Hold the dumbbells in front of your thighs. Slight soft bend in our knees, we're not squatting here. Initiate by pushing your hips back, maintaining a flat back. Lower the weights while keeping them close to your legs. As we feel a stretch in our hamstrings, we're driving our hips forward to return to our standing position. One cue I like to coach is think about having headlights on either one of your glutes. As you're pushing your hips back, we're keeping those headlights pointing up towards the sky instead of letting them curl down to the ground. This is going to build an intense hamstring strength and improve your flexibility, reinforces proper hip hinge pattern, and it's going to improve your posture by strengthening your posterior chain. Single leg Romanian deadlift. For a single leg Romanian deadlift, we can do this in a variety of ways. This first way is showing us how to utilize a balancing tool to allow us to go through the full range of motion. We're gonna stand on one leg, hinge at the hips, turning those headlights up to the sky as we go into our hinging motion, extending the free leg behind you as a counterbalance. Maintain a neutral spine as you lower the weight towards the floor. Return to start by driving through the heel and engaging the glute. If you're gonna use weights, we're gonna have it in the opposite hand to what leg is down on the ground. This is gonna give us the best chance of balance as we're counterbalancing from the leg that's swinging. Kettlebell clean. The kettlebell clean teaches our hips a more explosive way of creating power. To start off, we'll stand with our feet about shoulder width apart. Kettlebell is going to be between our feet, hinging at our hips to reach down and grab the kettlebell with both hands, a nice neutral spine. Explosively drive your heels down into the ground, pushing our hips forward to explode that weight up. Once it reaches about chest height, we're gonna flip those hands underneath, catching the weight. This is gonna be a total body movement. Reminder, as you're doing this, all of the power is coming from your hips. If your arms are getting tired from curling the weight up, think a little bit more leg drive as you go through this. One other thing to keep in mind is we're trying to keep that kettlebell as close to our body as possible. Glute bridge. Our most beginner-friendly exercise is going to be the glute bridge. This can be modified in a multitude of different ways. We can do it body weight, single leg, adding some weight onto our hips in the form of a sandbag or a dumbbell. So there's a lot of flexibility with actually performing this exercise. You'll start off laying on your back with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart, arms at your side, palms driving down into the ground. Press through your heels to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. At the top position, your body should form as straight of a line as possible from your knees to your shoulder. Squeeze your glutes and then lower with control back into your starting position. Let's recap. The hip hinge is so crucial, especially after we're 40, because it helps support and protect your lower back from injury. It targets the major muscle groups of our body to maintain muscle strength and muscle mass as we age, and it strengthens your posterior chain, which helps support your posture. How to implement any of these exercises? For implementation, I recommend choosing 2 or 3 of these exercises and performing them 2 to 3 times per week. Focus on perfecting the form and think of each of these exercises as skills that you need to develop over time before you start to add any kind of weight. If you have existing back injuries, make sure you start with something a little bit more conservative, like maybe the glute bridge, on the floor where you're most stable. Then as you build your confidence, start adding in more and more complex exercises. Remember, with all of these exercises, consistency is going to trump your intensity at all times. If you're unable to do 2 to 3 times per week, that's totally fine. Start off with once a week and you're gonna see benefit. A sustainable approach that you can maintain is gonna far outweigh the optimal strategy of lifting weights. Next up, we're gonna talk about squat movements and how important strengthening the squat movement is to your day-to-day activities. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date with any of our future videos. Drop a comment down below with which exercise you wanna try in your next workout. In our last video, we talked about grip strength and how it's one of the leading biomarkers for understanding our health and longevity. Let me know if you found that surprising in the comment section below.